What up, world? This is TheGoalNet, and we are here for a fireside chat diving into the specs behind the CCM Axis goalie pad. First things first, it's been a minute since we've done a video. As everybody's dealing with the world right now, there's a pandemic going on, there's a lot of social unrest, and honestly, I think hockey is probably a great escape for people, but I hope everybody understands that there's a lot of other things going on in the world at the moment, and at some point, doing gear reviews, aside from not being on the ice to properly test the equipment, but I think a lot of our hearts and heads have been in other places, so I think rinks are starting to open up, and I do hope a lot of things we're kind of taking steps forward at the moment. And hopefully a return to hockey will be good for everybody, but let's not forget what's going on out in the world, and we've got some more important things to focus on about hockey. But this is a hockey channel, this is a hockey account, so for everybody still interested in gear, we'll go through some gear. So what is the CCM Axis pad? This pad is the replacement for the Premier line, which existed for probably over 10 years, maybe 12, 14 years. Started off as an RBK product, then Reebok, then CCM. But it kind of got to the point where that product needed a major overhaul, and it was just time to do something new. And from my standpoint, before we dive too deep into specs, I truly find that Axis is a good blend of what a lot of goalies in Premier like and are used to. And I think it's also what a lot of goalies customize in their eFlex pads are in this pad. And I don't look at it purely as a Premier replacement, even though in the portfolio, that's how it fits. eFlex is still a product. eFlex is not going anywhere. It's more that this is really a completely new pad that is supposed to be designed for exactly what the average goalie wants. And I kind of like to put that out there to explain, even though it's the Premier replacement, it's not the Premier replacement, it's a different pad. So what do I mean by this? As a general statement, this is a stiffer pad. It is not the stiffest pad on the market. You can get CCM's full customizer, which means you can probably tune these in to fit your specs. So if you're a goalie that likes a stiff eFlex pad, you could maybe customize your Axis to get a little bit softer. And as an eFlex goalie, you could probably step into Axis. If you're a Premier goalie, but maybe you wanted a little bit faster sliding, or you loved the flat boot on the eFlex pad, which is where a lot of the industry is going to at the moment, but you couldn't get that in Premier, you can get that in Axis. And that's why I say it's really going to appeal to both guys that were in Premier lines for a long time and the eFlex line. But let's dive a little bit into the tech specs and understand what is new about Axis. So one of the first things we're going to notice is that Axis is a really clean design. A lot of the bindings that we're definitely used to seeing on the CCM by Lefebvre line, and on a lot of gear in general, is completely off this product. So no binding at the boot, around the edges. There's no top binding like you see the binding traditionally on the bottom of the toe there. That is still present, but that is about the only place you will find a binding on this pad. So that is a very different step forward for CCM. And it really gives the pad a maximum size and also cleanliness. There's no real wasted material in this design with the binding. If we flip over to look at the inner gusset, again, no binding. But one of the first things any Premier goalie will notice that is not on the Axis pad, so not a carryover technology, is the inner gusset. What we have here is a HD foam, which means that this inner edge is going to be very firm. And the purpose of that inner edge being firm is for seal and then also energy transfer, so that you've got a nice firm seal with the ice and then also a nice hard surface that's going to slide very well. As you'll notice there, these pads do have puck marks. I did get a couple skates in on these bad boys before we went into quarantine. And I will share ahead of any other review, these are definitely CCM's fastest sliding pads. And I found that it made the E-Flex or the Speed Skin perform better than it does on E-Flex or Premier. I haven't done enough skates to really call this a review, and haven't had it on enough different ice surfaces, which is my one knock on Speed Skin, is that I felt it didn't work as well on bad ice compared to clean. And there's some other technologies out there that slide more consistent regardless of the ice surface. But as a general statement, this does seem to work and does seem to be an improvement over the Premier, and also is faster than the E-Flex. And this material here is red Speed Skin as well. So that is an option, and that is designed to help the goalie slide faster. So again, raised HD inner gusset. The Premier series, if you can't visualize it, I will be doing a comparison video. That actually had a round roll that ran on the inner edge, almost like the outer roll, and that was how that was done to seal. And while we're on rolls, really good natural transition. This pad actually has a triangular outer roll, so it's very thinned out to reduce weight and excess material in the pad. I also find in the RVH with these thinner rolls, it gets your shin. I put the post there with my RVH as it gets the shin closer to the post so it feels more connected. And then CCM went again with this triangular shape instead of square. Which if we look at the puck down in the butterfly and think about pucks traveling up, by still having that raised outer edge, that should give you some of the benefits of the thinned out outer roll, but also give you the benefit of reduced skip over versus when it gets too thin there. The thought is a puck traveling up can actually skip over the pad and cause a goal. The next key new feature on this pad, which is probably the hardest to show in the video, is the Max Rebound Plus. And one thing to note, where I kind of mentioned this pad to me takes the best of E-Flex and the best of Premier, the sliding surface being flat is going to be more similar to E-Flex, even though it's stiffer, which makes a difference, but the sliding surface is more similar to E-Flex than Premier. The face of this pad is going to be more similar to CCM Premier 2, and that it has the hard rebounds versus E-Flex has a face designed to kind of minimize the rebound and keep it in front of the goalie. But CCM did lab testing and has actually updated the material in the face of this pad with a material that shoots the pucks out harder. So in the CCM Premier 2, this material was called Max Rebound. It is called Max Rebound Plus in the Axis. And again, I point this out with the laboratory testing. There are actually engineers at CCM that put pads in fixtures, shoot them with hockey pucks. They have sensors that see how the puck bounces off the pad. They record that data, and they use that data to actually identify new materials that work better and then incorporate them in the goalie pad, so you can trust there is science behind saying this pad kicks out harder rebounds. It's not just somebody tweaking a material and saying, gee, I put a little extra HD in the face and it's going to work better. There is, both drop test science and laboratory science behind that. And harder rebounds are something I think almost every line of gear coming out talks about now. And I find it to be a huge improvement. That and the sliding of modern pads are two things that are really game changers. Pucks shooting off your pads, better recovery, better tracking, much better than some pizza left on the doorstep. So big fan of the Max Rebound Plus. And again, haven't used these enough to really comment how well it works. So we'll look forward to that in another video. The next key new feature on Axis is the Light X Core. So this is where the pad is going to be more Premier-like. So the stock setting on this is single internal break, which means that there's a break or a flex point in the pad right here at the bottom of the knee. There is no break up here to keep it stiff. And then the boot down here is extremely soft. I would say it's probably as soft as E-Flex. And it's also different to note that this is a flat 90-degree boot. So that borrows from the E-Flex technology as well. So traditionally a Premier pad, if we look overhead, we're calling this kind of a right angle. A Premier pad, which again, we'll do a more detailed video, floated down like that. And the skate actually sat much lower than the pad with Premier versus the E-Flex. The pad sits right on top of the skate. Axis will sit right on top of your skate to give you that more connected feeling in RVH. And again, that's why I say this pad is new. It's not really a Premier replacement. It's because we borrowed some features from the E-Flex that a lot of goalies were asking for and incorporated it into more of the stiffer pad. But back to the Light X Core. So it's going to be pretty stiff. So torsionally, it's going to be more like a Premier where it's not going to flex very much. And again, with CCM, you can always customize and change everything. I'm referencing the stock pad. And then the boot is where this pad's gonna flex. This is 2 or 3 skates. I forget exactly how many I got in him, but this is not extensive break-in. Nice soft boot. And then torsionally, if we tweak it here, we can see that the pad, I'm putting some pretty good weight and we are getting no bend on the thigh rise, which means that this is a very stable core, which is gonna give you good seal, good energy transfer. And I'd also hope it holds up pretty well. Stiffer core pads can give us a little bit longer life than some softer pads out there in the market. So, nice stiff core up here and then softer there. And then again, we'll get just a little bit of flex. You can see in the knee area as well. And then the leg channel is more or less a carryover from the E-Flex and the Premier 2, although each pad has slightly different tweaks. I order mine with the open knee cradle, so I don't get the Velcro there, but I believe the stock option has a removable knee flap, so you can put the Velcro up here. And then as custom, like I ordered, you can remove the outer knee flap, but this is CCM's quick motion strapping. A couple nice kind of quality upgrades I like here is we've got the rubber tip on these pads. So over the life of them, rubbing against the Velcro, we're not gonna get any of the fraying. It's not, always just kind of make the pads look cheap or beat up prematurely. So it's a really nice feature. And then in here, you have the extra adjustable strap, which is more in line with the quick motion strapping, which was updated for E-Flex versus how it debuted in Premier. We have the 3D knee block, and then also in this little calf strap here as well, you have the 3D material. Another key feature here as well, which is new on this pad, and I'd say this is completely new. I don't believe it's on E-Flex or Premier, but we've got a molded kind of raised component here. So here is our inner calf wrap or calf wedge. And then we've got a little raised material there, which is just designed to keep your calf and your leg in exactly the right position in the butterfly. So we've got about a minute left before Insta TV kind of kicks us off, which is the new 15-minute file format I'm trying to commit to. One other last thought too is the wraps. We noticed they kind of stop at the ankle. That's a trend that we saw come with Premier 2, but it is a shorter, kind of lighter, more flexible wrap. So in summary, this is an overview, a deep dive, if you will, on what the Axis pad is. Hopefully this summarizes it for you, and please tune back in. We will do the gloves. We will also do a comparison of Axis to Premier 2 to E-Flex 4. To kind of try and highlight visually some of the things I talked about, where this pad is really the best of worlds. And particularly with the customizer, I think you can make it appeal to almost every goalie. And hopefully guys are getting out on the ice, and girls, everybody out there as well. I do hope that everybody is staying safe. We don't have a second coming of the pandemic, and that everybody is able to regain a sense of normalcy and get back out there doing hockey and a lot of the stuff we love. So this is the GoalNet signing out. Really appreciate everybody tuning in, and check out some of the other videos. And I hate this, but apparently it's a necessary thing on YouTube. Please don't hesitate to give me a follow. That is always appreciated. This is the GoalNet signing out.